Hi everyone, I welcome you back to this channel Technical Drawing Masterclass. So today we are going to look at how you can draw the front elevation of this one bedroomed house. Remember, in our last 3 videos I showed you how you can draw this ground floor plan from scratch up to where it is right now. So if you haven't watched that video, all those 3 series of videos, I urge you that you watch them such that you're on the same line with what I'm going to take you through right now. So I'm also going to leave you with a link in the description box that will allow you to access those 3 videos. So let's get started and I'll show you exactly how you can go over it. So I'll click at the layer command, then I select the layer for walls, then I'll click at the line command, then I'll draw a line, but then I'll select the command for ortho mode such that I can have a horizontal line that is perfect. So I'll draw this line to any length, then I'll press escape, then after that still I'll use the line command, then at that point I'll draw a vertical line of any length, then I'll press escape, then I'll highlight this horizontal line, then I'll click at the offset command, then I'll offset this line at a distance of 600 millimeters, which is this distance between this line and this line is the distance between this line and this line. So I want to get a distance between this corner and that corner. So I'll get it from here. It will be the sum of 2700 plus 300, this 300 and this 300. So I will employ my calculator. So I'll type in 2700 plus 600. So it will give me 3300. So right now I'll click at this line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 3300. So after that still I'll offset this line at a distance of 600. So from this point up to this point, the distance between those 2 points is this 4150 plus the thickness of the wall, which is right here. Okay, so still I'll put in 4150 plus 150, so it will give me 4300. So this is the same distance that I'll offset this line, this line here. So I'll offset it at a distance of 4300, and I press enter, and after that I'll offset this line at a distance of 600. So when you're done, you click at this line, then offset it at a distance of 100 millimeters. So after that I'll press escape, then I'll click at this line, then I click at the command for trim, then I'll trim off these lines because now I no longer need them. So after that, I'll still click at the trim command. I click at this line and also this line, then I press enter. Then I'll delete off those lines and also trim off these lines. Okay, so after that, I'll click at this line, then I click at the offset command, then I'll offset that line at a distance of 3000 millimeters. Okay, so after that, still I will offset that line at a distance of 200 millimeters. Okay, so after that, I'll highlight this line, then I'll click at the trim command, then I'll trim off those lines. And that one right there. So after that, I'll highlight these two lines. Still I'll click at the trim command, then also I'll trim off those lines. Okay, then next I'll highlight that line still, then I'll trim off. Let me trim off those lines. Then for these ones, I'll just highlight them and I delete them. We're going to do lots of trimming because we need to bring out the real front elevation of this ground floor plan. So right now I'm going to put the roof. So I'll click at the line command, then I'll select the layer for roof, which is right here. So from this point, then I'll deactivate this ortho mode. Then I'll draw a line of any length, but it should be at an angle of 30. Okay, so I'll draw another line from this point right here. Should be of any length, but at an angle of 150. Sorry, instead of the length, I put in the, instead of the angle, I put in the length. So still I'll click at this point right there at any length. So I'll press the tab key, then I'll put in 150 right there. So I'll press escape. Then after that, still at this point, I'll draw another line of any length, but then it should be at an angle of still 150. Okay, so when you're done with drawing up these lines, we are going to trim them such that we can have a structure that resembles a roof. So I'll trim off that line and that line, and also that line. So after that, I'll highlight this line and also I'll also highlight that line. I'll click at the trim command, then I'll trim off that line, also that line, and also that line. Okay, so we have our roof right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the roof ridge. So I'll highlight this line, then I'll click at the offset command, then I'll offset it at a distance of 50 millimeters. So I'll do offset also that line and also this line. So I'll highlight those lines, then I'll click at the trim command. I'll trim off those lines, also that line. Then also I'll highlight this line, then I'll click at the trim command, then I'll trim off those lines. So after that, remember we have our columns right here. Okay, and each column is offsetted at a distance of 300 millimeters, like the thickness of the length and the width of the column is 300 millimeters. So it's a perfect square, right? So it's directly in line with the edge of the wall. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll highlight this line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 300 millimeters. Then I'll do the same thing this side. Okay, then after that I'll highlight this line, then after that I'll offset it at a distance of 2400 millimeters. I'll highlight this line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 2400 millimeters. So after that, I'm going to use a command called fillet to create curves at these endpoints. Okay, so after that I'll press F, then I'll click at fillet, then down here at the command bar I'll click at radius, then I'll put in 500 millimeters, then I press enter, then I'll click at this line and also at that line. You find that it has created a curve right here. So I'm going to do the same thing right here. So I'll press F, click at fillet, then click at radius at the command bar, then put in the radius as 500, then press enter. So you'll have to click at this line and also click at that line. So you find that I have my perfect curves right here and at this point. So next, I have a window right here and I have a door right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click at the layer for windows, then I'll use the rectangle command, but then I must find out the length of the window. So according to the dimensions I have right here, the length of the window is 2000 millimeters. Okay, so I'll use the rectangle command, then I'll draw a rectangle whose dimensions are 2000 millimeters by 1500 millimeters. Okay, so I'll highlight it and I'll move it closer to the front elevation. Instead, I'll highlight it, then I'll explode it. I'm trying to mold up the window such that we move it here to where it's supposed to be at the front elevation. So I'll offset this one, that line, at a distance of 400. Then this one I'll offset it at a distance of 100, and also that one I'll offset it at a distance of 100, and also that one at a distance of 100. Then I'll do the same thing right here. Then remember, the horizontal length here is 2000 millimeters. So if I want a line in the middle here, I'll offset this line, or this line, at a distance of 1000 millimeters. So this side I'll offset it at a distance of 100, and I'll do the same thing this side. Then right here I'll offset it at a distance of 50. So when you're done, we have to do some bit of trimming. So I'll highlight the whole window, then I'll click at the trim command. So I'll trim off those lines, then also I'll trim off those lines, and also these lines, and also those lines. So next I'll trim off that line, that line, that line, that line, that line, and that line. So when you're done, you press escape, then you highlight that line and trim it off to a distance of 20. Then after that, I'll trim off these excess lines. So also I'll highlight those lines, then I'll press at the trim command, then I'll trim off these lines. Okay, this is so perfect. Then after that, still I'll come back to my ground floor plan. Then you find that this window is at a distance of 1100 millimeters from this edge right here. So from this line, I'll click at it, then I'll offset it at a distance of 1100 millimeters. So I'll click at this line, now offset it at a distance of 900. That is the standard height of a window from the splash up. So I'll press escape, then I'll highlight this window, then I'll click at the move command, then I'll move it up to that point right there. Okay, so I'll highlight these lines and I delete them because I no longer need them right now. So after that, we are going to place the door, this one right here. Okay, so for the door, I'll first have a copy of it. So I'll have to highlight it, and I have a copy of it from the ground floor plan. So I'll click at the copy command, then I'll drag it right here. So I'll click at the layer for doors, which is right here. Then after that, I'll draw a horizontal line, then I press escape. Then after that, I'll click at the line command still with my ortho mode active, then I'll click at this line, then I'll push this line vertically up, then I'll press escape. Then I'll click at the offset command. I'll highlight it, then I'll click at the copy command, then I'll copy these lines to these points right here. Okay, so after that, I'll click at this line, then I'll click at the trim command, then I'll trim off those lines. Then after that, I'll give this door one a height of 2400 millimeters. So I'll click at the offset command, then I'll offset that line at a distance of 2400 millimeters. So I'll click at this line, then I'll click at this arrow next to the trim command, then I'll select extend. So I'll extend all these lines to meet this line. Okay, so after that, I'll click at that line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 50 millimeters. Then also this one 50 millimeters. So I'll highlight this one, then I delete it off because I no longer need it. And also I'll highlight this whole structure, then I'll click at this arrow and select trim. First I'll trim off these lines. Then next I'll trim off those lines. So when you're done, still from the front elevation, you find that this door right here, I want to get its distance from one of the edges, either from here or from here. So you find that it is at a distance of 650 from this edge right here, okay, because we have its width as 2100 millimeters. So let's confirm it right here. So I'll click at the dimension command. Yeah, that is it. So come back here, then I'll select this line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 650 millimeters. Then after that, still I'll highlight this line, this door, then I'll move it up to this point right here. I'll deselect or deactivate my command for ortho mode. So I'll place my door right there. Okay, so you find that I'll highlight this line, then I'll delete it off. Then also I'll click at those two curved edges, then I'll click at the trim command, then I'll trim off these parts of the door. Okay, this looks so perfect now. So next we are going to put the grid lines. So I'll select my layer for depth points, then I'll use the rectangle command, then I'll draw a square whose dimensions are 2000 by 2000. So I'll move this square to this point, then also I'll move this same square up here, but then I'll snap it at that point, then I'll move it horizontally, then I'll also snap it at that point, I move it vertically until where those two green lines meet, then that's where it's supposed to be. So still I'll use the rectangle command, then I'll push it up to that point. So I'll highlight these two squares, then I'll delete them. Next, I'm going to highlight this line, then I'll offset it at a distance of 75 millimeters. Then next I'll highlight this line, this rectangle. Okay, then I'll click at that arrow next to the trim command, then I'll select extend. So I'll click at that line that is offsetted from this line at a distance of 75 millimeters. So when you click at it, it extends itself up to where this rectangle ends. So I'll press escape. Then after that, from the front elevation, you find that the distance between this grid line and this grid line is 3150 millimeters. So first I'll highlight this line, then I convert it to grid lines. Okay, then after that I'll offset it at a distance of 3150 millimeters. So I'll offset it at a distance of 3150. It's right there. So next, the distance between this grid line and this grid line is 1650 millimeters. So I'll click at this grid line and I'll offset it at a distance of 1650 millimeters. So it's right there. Then also the last grid line is at a distance of 2650 from this grid line. So from this grid line, I'll offset it at a distance of 2650 millimeters. Okay, so you find that we have perfectly drawn our grid lines. So next, I'm just going to copy these tags from this ground floor plan, then I'll paste them at the front elevation. So I'll click at this point where this grid line meets this tag for labeled A. Then I'll transfer these tags to these grid lines. Then I'll press escape at the keyboard. So next, I'm going to put the dimensions. So I'll select my layer for dimensions. Then I'll click at the dimension command. Then from this point, I'll stretch out my dimension up to that point. Then also I'll click at that dimension, then I hover my cursor at that blue dot, then I'll select continue dimension. So after that, we're going to put the hatch at the roof. So I'll select my layer for hatch. It's right here. Then after that, I'll click at the hatch command. Then when it opens up, I'll look for the hatch command called this one right here. Then I'll give it a scale of 1000. Then maybe I'll reduce on the transparency. I put in 40. Then I press enter at the keyboard. Then I'll click there, and also there, and also there. So after that, I'll press escape. Then next, I'm going to label the doors and the windows. So from the ground floor plan, I'll highlight those two tags, this one and this one. Then I'll click at the copy command. Then I'll transfer them right here. Then I'll try to position this one at the right place. I think this one will be better. So after that, I'll highlight this one and I delete it because I no longer need it. Then what I'm left with is to put some dimensions right here. So still I'll click at the dimension layer, then I click at the dimension command, then I'll put that dimension there. Then also I'll include the dimension of the window from the splash apron. Then also I will include the height of the window. Then I press escape, I press enter to go back to my dimension command. Then from I'll click at one of the lines right here. Then AutoCAD will automatically give me the height of the door, which is 2400 millimeters. Okay, so when you're done with putting those dimensions, for the case of the video, I won't put all the dimensions, but next I'm going to put some text. So I'll select my layer for text, then I'll click at this command for multi-leader. Then after that, I'll click at the wall, then I'll put in 150 millimeters thick, brick wall, plastered and painted to finishes. Schedule. Then I'll give it a height of 200 millimeters. So I'll copy this text, then I'll place it right here. Then I'll try to edit it. I'll put iron sheets. At an angle. of 30. Then if you want to put in 30 degrees, for me what I usually do, I first put in 300, then I'll select one of the 0, then I'll click at this command right here, which is superscript. Okay, so you find that you have your 30 degrees right here. Okay, so what next can I put here? Then also I'll indicate the roof ridge. Then I'll give it a height of 200 millimeters. Then I'll press enter. Then after that, I'll copy this text to that point. Then I'll edit this one too. Then also I'll highlight this text, then I'll copy it here and I'll copy it at that point. Which other point? I think that is it. Then I'll put in roof level at 2800 millimeters. And also I'll highlight, I'll double click at that text, then I edit it to ground floor. At 100 millimeters. So after that, I'll select this front elevation, then I'll try to move it distance away from the front elevation. Okay, so you find that we have come to the end of this video, and please, if you've really found out something of importance in this video, please don't forget to like and comment. If there is anything that I've left out, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because that's one way you support me to continue making this kind of videos. So thanks for watching. We meet next time.